Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we are going to be talking about Fighting Force. I had this back in the day on the PS1. I believe I got it shortly after it came out. It was released in November of '97, so I suspect it was a Christmas present. In fact, I'm almost certain it was. And I had a really good time with it, so I figured let's talk about it because it doesn't cost me any money. I did have some problems getting the disc to run on an emulator. You are seeing an emulated, upscaled picture at the moment. But so I downloaded a ROM and got it to run that way. I will stress that I do own the original game though, so it's all cool in that fashion. So Fighting Force, it started off being a sequel to Streets of Rage, if you didn't know. They approached Sega to do Streets of Rage, basically I think 4 at the time, for the Sega Saturn, and Sega weren't having it, so they retooled it to Fighting Force. I was a big Streets of Rage fan. Certainly I can remember back in the day when Dad got a Mega Drive for Christmas, and it included the eponymous Mega Games 2 with it, and on that was of course the first Streets of Rage game, and we would play that together. So it's a nice childhood memory, and playing Fighting Force is very similar to Streets of Rage. I find it slightly easier. It's obviously in 3D, which is... I think it does make a difference. I know a lot of detractors at the time said, it's just Streets of Rage in 3D, but it's Streets of Rage in 3D, what do you want? So there are 4 characters you get to pick from. You've got Ben Smasher Jackson, you've got Hawk, Hank, and I probably shouldn't give you the last names because I can't remember any of them. Hang on, one sec, click, there we go. Hawk Manson, Mace Daniels, and Alondra McKendricks. Smasher was always my favourite because he was this big ape-looking guy with long arms and just massively huge wide shoulders, and he'd roll about the place and just be extremely strong and be able to bash people from quite far away with his giant long arms. So he was always my favourite, followed shortly thereafter by Hawk and the 2 girls, Mace and then Alana. So basically I went from the strongest character down to the weakest, even though the speed obviously goes up as well. I don't know, bad. The game on the lowest difficulty is very easy. I finished it once over using Smasher before the review, and I'm currently capturing footage with Hawk just so you can see it, and I don't really want to play Smasher again because I've literally just finished the game with him. So yeah, not a difficult game. I didn't die once. It does have a few really nice touches to it. So obviously during the game you can use weapons like you could in Streets of Rage. These can be carried by punks, so they can be found in boxes, or they can be ripped out of the scenery, including vehicles. So if you smash a vehicle, sort of a la Street Fighter, and have it explode, you can actually pick up the wheels and toss it, or if it's created debris like a van, like the back end of a van's sheared apart and you've got like metal bars you can pick up from it, or if you're Smasher you can actually pick up the engine block and throw that. So it's really good, and like you go in a lift and you can pull the railings off the wall and use that as a weapon. So it was really well done. They actually included guns as well, if you can believe that. So you could pick up a gun. The aiming you had to get used to because you couldn't just point and shoot. You kind of had to let them settle in, otherwise you just miss. The guns didn't have much ammo. I think like the most ammo you ever got was like 5 shots in a pistol. Once it was out you could throw it at people though, which was nice. You could also get a shotgun as well, and that only had 3 shots. Obviously it was more effective, and you could also throw that at people, which is also nice. If you can't shoot, then why not throw it, I say. So the story is basically based around the antagonist, Dr. Deck Zeng, who is a criminal mastermind with an army, and basically he believed the world should have ended on Y2K. I have to really struggle not to say Y2J just because I'm so indoctrinated into wrestling. But no, Y2K. He believed it was a mistake that the world didn't end, so he's setting out to correct that mistake essentially, and you're there to stop him. You all have various reasons for doing so. I won't go into them here because largely I don't know them. The game is not story based at all. There's a few cutscenes showing you going places or coming from places. It's all in-engine stuff. There's nothing too fancy about it. It gets the job done. One thing that is nice to see is it does give you the ability to choose which path you take in. I think there's 2 or 3 times in the game where you can go left, right, or up in an area, and that will take you. That will change the next level you play. So there's a sequence where you can go to like the mall or the park or another place, which I can't remember, and that's the next level you'll play, and then it will tie back into the level the level that it sort of ties back into with everything else. So think like Quantic Dream games. It's like, oh, I have all these choices that take me to these side bits for a little bit, and then but I'm straight back where like you want me to be for the next one, kind of thing. But Fighting Force is a fantastic game. It wasn't critically lauded or anything when it came out. It certainly was mixed. I think they... Oh, excuse me. I should not try and record after eating Haribo. That's obviously the mistake I've made there. I think the consensus was that the large amount of interactive scenery to destroy, collect weapons from was good, but you know, the gameplay wasn't different from the 2D beat 'em ups of earlier console gens. And it's a beat 'em up game. It's what works. So I don't really have a problem that it wasn't particularly revolutionary in that regard. It's a fun game. There's a few times you get stun locked, but certainly the easier difficulties, your health bar is significant enough that it doesn't feel unfair because you're not at the point where it's going to kill you, usually. But yes, there was a sequel. I haven't played it. I believe it just focuses on Hawk and rewards more stealthy gameplay, which probably explains why I haven't played it. It was released on PlayStation, Windows and Nintendo 64 originally, which is interesting, seeing as Sega turned it down, so they're probably like, oh, fuck you, Sega, you ain't getting one now, boy. And it sold well, it sold pretty well, you know, and I loved it. And, you know, I sat down to play it today just to reacquaint myself with the gameplay and just played it right the way through, so... Doesn't take long. It's probably about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit less to finish, but you do have the 4 characters that you can play through with, so there's a little bit of replayability in that. I mean, certainly nowadays you could probably pick it up pretty cheap off eBay or something, or you know, you could sell the high seas if you really wanted to. But back in the day when you're like paying 50 quid for a game and you could beat it in like an hour and a half, it has to have that replayability. Now for me it was more that I enjoyed the gameplay, rather than I needed to see something new, although the branching press, as I said, and the 4 characters did help with that. But certainly nowadays, you know, pick it up cheap, you want a quick smash on it, it's great. I mean, it has like the sort of wibbly wobbly vertexes going on that were common with PlayStation games, PlayStation 1 games, you know. So, I mean, it's never going to look amazing, but I think it looks alright upscaled. I mean, I've switched to DuckStation because I had some problems with the previous PlayStation emulator I was using. But outside of that, that's Fighting Force for you. 1997 beat 'em up that I had for Christmas and loved, and now have spoken to you about. Good God, 24 years later. Well, just over, I guess. Wow. No, just under. Yeah, 24. So, yes. God. I've made myself feel quite old now. Oh well. Still, you know, at least nowadays I can wet myself and it's expected of me, so that's good. Anyway guys, so that's my review of Fighting Force. Check it out if you want to. As I say, you can get it from a number of places for a number of various means. Take my meaning, and it's a good time, so go check it out. Anyway, that's all for this week, and I'll catch you next time. Take it easy, guys.